Alrighty, we're back with another one. Starting with scenarios, really the whole thing with him is you want to use your hero power the first couple of turns as effectively as you can. Generally, try to find any gold efficient plays you can make. If you get a 2-cost spell, you can hold that on turn 1. But really, I just end up cycling pirates to try and just get as much gold saved up. And really, I'm fine with taking damage in the early game while doing this. I think even on this turn 4, I have to think a bit. And I end up using the econ from the effectively 2-cost minions. And really, I just want to kind of stabilize a little bit here on 4. And that will let me get an idea of if I can continue here empowering or not. Um, Generally, I think the rule of thumb that you want to do with scenarios is kind of do. I think 3 is kind of the sweet spot for the first couple of turns that you should hero power. However, I'm assuming, as time goes on, there's going to be actual curve they do. Tricky decision here, really. I was just between Goldenizer and Divine Signet. Because I had a couple of Divine Shields, I was leaning towards the Signet. It can give you a lot of value. And I end up selling off 2 of the mechs to use the chef choice to try and get even another divine shield, and I do get that payoff. Really just trying to play as smart as I can here, really get as much value in this early game while trying to maintain as much tempo. The biggest thing with scenarios is you have this early game tempo or value that you're like behind that you've put into all this gold. So really the biggest thing you can do is try to get some type of payoff for that later on. You want to start playing aggressive from these like turn 6, 7-ish on. And really just you have more gold than everyone, so you shouldn't be falling behind once you get ahead. We get a really nice golden touch here. This lets us find a 6-drop on turn 8. We find Genie. Genie's the best pick here. It's just the only one that has like value on its own. And I get a second Genie, which is absolutely crazy. I get a Discovery here. Um, this, in my opinion, this is probably a misplay. I ended up going with the triple. I should have taken the light spawn there because I already had the golden genie. At that point, I'm already enabled for elementals, and you'll see as the game goes on, I get punished for not getting that early light spawn to start my elemental scaling. We do find another genie, so we have a lot of value here. We're generating a lot of gold. We're generating a lot of gold. Like we have essentially 3 elementals that we're getting, plus hopefully 3 spells every turn. And because we've gotten the early Tavern Tier up, we're able to do 6s. Compass ends up being kind of the pick between here and the Windfall Portrait. I ended up going with Compass because I'm already on tier 6. I can get 6s, and you can see here I get the Arcane. Which really is the punishment for not taking that early light spawn, because that could have already started scaling on turn 9 and been crazy here. So really that's just kind of a lesson to recognize when you're enabled. I end up taking these swirlers just to make it so I'm getting a bit more scaling on all the elementals I play. And mainly my goal from here is just try to get any of the gold efficient ones and discover 6 drops as much as I can to find that light spawn. And if I don't find light spawn on the 6, I'm taking an elemental just to get a little bit of value out of that. Um, Nothing too crazy with plays here. Really, just the biggest things we're doing is just trying to find any type of elemental cycling kind of stuff, and that's why I'm even willing to take the 1-drops, because I'm in this pretty strong position. Like I'm barely even getting my genie values every turn because of how little what am I trying to say? How like much health we have compared to everyone else. Lucathar is a really big pickup. It's just a lot of really good scaling, especially because we have some divine shields. It's a like tribeless buffing unit, so that lets you kind of buff up your divine shields. You'll see I end up holding onto this brand, and I'm trying to finish on the death rattle in a like rather gold efficient manner. I'm holding brand in case I roll into a genie or something kind of like that. But I'm not going to necessarily force a brand here. I don't think you necessarily need to with the current elementals, especially because we have so much gold generation. The brand like gold value seems a bit overkill. Really, you'll see from here, just we're kind of just playing the strongest comp. We do get this the light spawn on turn 11, and this kind of fills out the rest of our comp. And really, what we're just trying to do is as many of the 6-drop elementals that we can play. That's what we're going to do just to kind of get the most amount of scaling. The next thing we're going to be looking for is a Drakari. and that way we can scale even faster. We're going to be board locked eventually, or we're going to need to sell off the genie if we're not able to triple the light spawn. I do want to keep the cycling elemental right now just because it is a divine shield, and divine shields are granting us a tavern spell every turn, so that's kind of why I'm holding on to that. End up just using the hero power here and taunting up the Drakari. Doesn't really make too much of a difference here. The taunting Drakari is just for like divine shield kind of shenanigans. And you can see our opponents here got a pretty strong mech setup. We take a lot of damage there. And this ends up being kind of where we need to start playing all in every single fight. We have a lot of cycling that we're able to do this turn. And really, we're just still doing the whole pattern of trying to cycle as many of our elementals as we can, try to buy the gold efficient elementals. We're able to triple the light spawn. Unfortunately, it's not a surprise elemental, because that would have given us a little bit of divine shields, which would have been better for our proccing. I'm holding on to this strategist mainly just because I'm figuring that this can be an okay unit to finish on. I feel like I'm like as strong as I'm going to be. You can kind of just see in these like. Honestly, if he took out my genie there, I might have lost this fight. In hindsight, this probably was like a 50-50 fight if he would have killed my genie on that first attack. So a little bit of positioning stuff there that I should have been aware of, but from here, really, it's just alling in. I probably could have even held the Locathar to finish on that, but I'm kind of greedy with my current stuff, and again, I'm just cycling as many of the elementals that give us stuff. And here's another where I triple the arcane, the unleashed mana, and I find another one, and it's just that's even more scaling. I'm fine playing one golden and one regular. The only thing again is it would have been nice to get a couple more divine shields on my board. That's why I end up holding the Serena. I figured that's actually probably a better unit to finish on, unless I find something like a Leroy or something like that. Honestly, I probably should have just kept holding on to the second Unleashed. I don't know if it was necessarily worth selling off. I guess my thought process here was I might end up selling the non-golden one and just use it for scaling. And in the end, I might end up playing like a second Leroy or something like that. But in hindsight, it was probably a misplay selling that off. Here is a Leroy. If I should buy it and sell off the Serena and then use that as the cycle spot now, at the end of this fight, I'm going to have a little bit of thinking of if I should actually play the Leroy to finish or not. And then another misplay, if you notice, I used the 2-cost spell that discovers a minion from your opponent, and I should have scouted really quick to tell if my upcoming opponent was playing elementals or not before doing so. I kind of luck out that he's not, but I could have potentially held that and tried to like get an extra unit if I saw that they were showing elementals. I kind of just used it for a gold without thinking. So yeah, play from here. I end up selling off the Drakari. Mostly I've just gotten the value from the light spawn that I need from it. And from here, I just want to play the best units that I can. That might just be more buffs, or it might. Ideally, I would find like another Leroy or a Venom or something in that spot. But I'm also still trying to scale at the same time. I don't know what my opponent's showing. Hindsight, I should have bought that fungal. It looks like I skipped it, but I should have taken that rather than only. It looks like I'm only looking for Leroy, and I should have picked up an extra unit there. So I end up taking the Blade Collector for a similar reason. Is it can essentially just hit off a couple Divine Shields. Yeah, and that it does its job right on the fight, and you can tell that he had an insane mech board with just probably a lot of Dr. Boons, but we just had more scaling quicker. And this is just kind of like early season how it looks like. These are the two big comps you'll see, elementals and mech. So good luck on your climbs. See y'all. Bye.